Welcome to Shambhavi Spectrum. Today it is my pleasure to have with me here Bina Mathews, Coach Bina, as she's more popularly known. And I have just been reading some of the articles and stuff which she has mentioned about mindfulness. And I'm going to hand it over to her to speak more about herself. So thank you for finding the time, Bina, for being here. And tell me more about yourself, how long you've been an entrepreneur, and what goes behind Bina Mathews.
Okay, thanks so much for having me here, Shambhavi. Entirely my pleasure. What goes behind Bina Mathews is very simple. What you see is what you get. So I have always felt that being authentic to yourself is very important. And also the concept of having just one life to live. You don't get a retake. So you've got to do all that you can do within whatever time is allocated to you, right? So I consciously took a decision, since I love English and I love writing, to try out every possible channel of communication that there is. And I was really blessed that I was able to do it. So as a graduate in journalism and women's studies, and then I went on to do my master's in English literature, and then diplomas in advertising, etc. So I've been in advertising, I've been in PR, I've been a journalist, I've headed corporate communication teams. In fact, my last role was in a corporate, in Do, where I headed the internal comms team, and before that, the launch PR team. So I was there for almost 12 years. And I think towards the end of that stint, I realized that I have accomplished pretty much all that I want to in this arena. And, you know, when you plateau and then you wake up and your work just isn't bringing you joy anymore. And that obviously went against my ethic of being true to yourself. So it was a case of trying to figure out, if not this, then what? Because all my life has been about communication. And something that went on unofficially in parallel was that I was always mentoring people right through. And people had told me very often, you know, you should look into this because you help so many people with this. Why don't you look into formalizing this? And the funny thing is, like 5 years ago, I was the biggest disbeliever in coaching. I really thought it's a con job.
I'm very glad you brought it up because I would have asked you the question on this in any case. Tell me,
no, I mean, I always bring it up front because I could not. I was a real control freak. And so for me to say, go to some stranger and say, this is my life, tell me what to do, which is what I thought coaching was really very weird to me, honestly. But then I saw that good friends of mine, a couple of them, who I had helped a lot, went in for coaching, and I could see the transformation happening in their lives. And this friend, I remember this Emirati friend of mine, she used to come and she'd say, I am paying this lady thousands to hear the same thing that you tell me. But the difference is she has a few techniques, she has tools that help me get over that bump that is preventing me from implementing what you're saying. So what I see is that's what you need. And seeing the evidence, because I do tend to have an empirical approach to life, it was very clear it's working. So then I said, okay, I'll go and give this coaching training a shot and, you know, see what it's all about. And I was really lucky that I found the perfect training institute, Mindbridge Training. The couple who run it, they are in the States and they've worked with the founders of NLP. So they have over 45 years of experience. So, and they work with the ethic of when you transform one person's life, they go on to transform other lives. So you're having this ripple effect in the world, which resonated with me. So in the course of being trained, I discovered that that was my calling. You know, I found my purpose. My purpose is to help other people find their purpose.
So I'm very it's like I said, I would have asked you about the word, the phrase, or the world of coach, because it's been used so frequently. And like you said, some time back, I mean, just before the COVID time, when we met people, if there were 5 people there, the
Three
chances
coaches.
were very. You said it.
Yeah. Oh my God,
And,
Shambhavi.
and
I have to interrupt you to say, just because someone says they are a coach does not
yes.
mean they are a good coach or a well-trained coach.
Yeah.
So
So, and
please check that.
so I would on continuing on that note, so I would really wonder that are there more coaches now than actually people? And then of course the pandemic came in and mindfulness became more the term empathy became more of a term to be inculcated in
Mhm,
our
mhm.
thought itself, and that
Yes.
kind of at least made me look kindly towards them and said, okay, it's right, people do need coaching.
They're
And
serving some purpose.
no, another thing which I should say is, I think it was Marshall Goldsmith I was listening to in one of his live webinars where he said that you should, like how sports people have coaches and mentors,
Exactly.
why don't people, even normal people need coaches, somebody to guide you? And I think that kind of made more sense to me that yes, it
Yeah.
is right, that yes, you can look for coaches and you can look, even if I know what to do, but if somebody affirms it for me, it does definitely
Yeah.
help.
So
And
if I can explain what coaching is,
yes,
Shambhavi, that will really help
please
you.
do. And I'll ask
Uh,
you one more question with
sure.
that.
Sure.
What was the reason that you chose your website to be Coach Bina? Please, both. I would like you to answer both the things.
Okay. So coaching actually comes from the Victorian form of transportation, the coach. The point of a coach was literally to take you from where you are to where you want to go. That's it. And I just love that explanation because that's what coaching does. So where therapy and psychiatry are all past facing, delving into the source of your issues and spending more time in that, coaching is forward facing. It's all about identifying what you want instead of what you have, and then identifying what are the resources you already have and what are the resources you need, what is preventing you from getting there. So then working out an action plan from how to get from here to there. So it's very positive. It works on the premise that nobody is broken and nobody needs to be fixed. And it also works on the premise that all of us have all the resources we need, all the answers we need within ourselves. So the coach is literally like, if you have balls of wool and they're all tangled and you're trying to sort it out in the dark. And the coach just comes and shines a light and perhaps gives you a few tools to separate them and get them into the pattern they're supposed to be. So a coach is an enabling person. The coach will not, like a consultant, come and tell you what to do. When I am, because that's the joy of being an entrepreneur, I can wear as many hats as I want. So I'm an executive coach, I'm a hypnotherapist, I'm an energy healer, a pranic healer. I'm a speaker. I'm adjunct faculty in Manipal University. So, it's very liberating to do everything I want. But that's what I found really nice, because when I'm a communication consultant, I go in and I tell the company what they need to do based on my expertise and experience. But as a coach, I cannot tell my client what to do. I have to bring you to the point where you find your answers. I don't know what your answer is. It's within you. So all I'm doing is guiding you. So it's like that vehicle coach, So we either take the shortest, fastest route, or you prefer you take the scenic route with a few detours, and then we address a few other issues along the way. It's entirely client-led.
Okay. So tell me one thing, so much of information which you take from people and you are constantly processing it, and I believe at some point you're emotionally involved with it. How does it take your energies away at end of the day? Do you feel a little sapped, or does all that interaction pep you up and make you want to do more?
That's such a good question, because
Thank you.
that's something that I always tell new coaches. And it was a lesson for me, because growing up, again, with this whole helping thing, my dad was the head of an international NGO. So he managed the whole of Asia, the subcontinent, Africa. My mom used to help him. So growing up, we were like constantly working with slum dwellers, street dwellers, people like that, orphans. So it was very much a part of who we were, that if you have life, you have to be of use to someone else.
Yes, sir.
So I decided I wanted to be a psychologist or psychiatrist. And my dad told me, because I was super empathetic, and he told me, you will die before your patients. And that was true, because somebody comes and tells me a sad story and I help them, but then I couldn't eat for a week and I'd be so depressed. And, so what coaching gave me was the ability to step into Coach Bina, which is why my website is called Coach Bina, and which is why I loved your question. It just led nicely into that. So it is not Bina Mathews who is in that space for her clients. It's Coach Bina. So I find that it's very empowering and liberating, because once I'm in that space, it's not about me. I am just holding the space for my client. And so actually, one of my first clients was a young man who had been sexually abused by his own father. And he actually came for coaching about his professional life, career development. And the subconscious has its own agenda. We just take it for granted, but it's 90% of controlling 90% of what we do. And it brought it up. And he honestly thought he had got over this issue. But as coaches, we're trained to read the nonverbal communication, which is far more than the verbal one, as you know. So in the process of healing that, he freed himself up to just take quantum leaps ahead in his career. So it was really, and for me, it was like hearing that story and not breaking down, which is what Bina would do. If he had told me as a friend, I would have sat and cried. But Coach Bina was able to just be there for him and give him that strength that he needed. And I was just, so that's when I decided that's my identity when I'm doing my job. It's Coach Bina.
Tell me something, Bina. Most of entrepreneurs and businesses run on word of mouth and referrals and testimonials. So when you have issues and challenges like this, like what you're saying now, or, and people have emerged out of something which they were not even aware was actually dominating their life, are they so happy to give testimonials and references and things like that? Does it work?
Full of good questions, Shambhavi. It's so funny because, the conditioning that we have about perceived mental health issues is so deeply ingrained that Marshall Goldsmith is able to clearly tell you, look, if you say that Andy Murray has a coach, will you say, oh my God, he has a coach? What's wrong with him? No. You say, obviously he has a coach, that's why he's winning, But when it comes to our personal and professional lives, having a coach becomes something that's a stigma. It's like, there's something wrong with me, that's why I have a coach. So I have clients, very surprisingly, who will say, please don't let anyone know I'm your client. Please don't let anyone know that I'm getting coached. This client, you'll be surprised to know, when he got through the process and realized how much he was unnecessarily suffering, because he was suffering from severe migraines and actually was going to do an MRI after a session. And I told him, your MRI will be clear. There's nothing wrong with you physically. It's the burden of this negative energy and, negative beliefs that you're carrying. And soon as we cleared it, his headache stopped. So he told me, I give you full permission to use me as a case study. I'm a member of the ANLP, the Association of NLP Practitioners, the international body. And I even put this up as a case study there because he realized there are so many people who will be suffering like him.
Yes,
and he said, so I realize it's not my fault and I shouldn't be ashamed. But if my story can help someone else reach out and get the help that they need, then please do. And I'm really happy to see some of the clients who initially told me to keep it confidential are now by themselves letting people know that they're being coached, because they're seeing that they weren't being fixed. They were just being given the power to level up, And if you play games, you know that you need to take all the tools and extra resources you can get in order to go up to the next level. So,
right. So you did mention that you help people level up, entrepreneurs, and tell me more about that part of your work. And about, do you do group sessions and for companies? What kind of, how does it happen? What does the work look like?
Yes, I do work on a one-to-one basis and as groups as well. So basically, when someone comes to me asking about coaching, I always tell them, we're at a certain level. And when we're bang in the middle of that level, we are not even aware that there's an edge to it or that it comes to an end. So we're comfortable there. But when you've exhausted that level, there's something more. You don't know how to get there. So I always tell them, if you've come and asked about coaching, it means you're at that point where you're ready to level up, So that's why I don't believe in just cold calling or just selling coaching to people, because if they are not ready for it, it's just not going to be any use. And so when you're ready to level up, it will be either for your profession or personally, right? Sometimes, like this client's case, they're interwoven. You think it's all about your career, but there's something on the personal side which is holding you back, because a negative belief about yourself will affect you professionally as well. So I work with executives because I have worked with them extensively over the past 12 years and, have a good rapport and good read on handling them. So I work with executives and potential leaders as well, people who, we promote people based on their technical skills. So they go up the ranks very quickly if they're good at their job, but nobody is supporting the corresponding leadership and managerial skills that they need. So you suddenly have someone who's heading a team and he or she has the fear of public speaking. They don't know what to do with these 20 people who are looking at them. They don't know how to convert the strategy that's been given to them down at a level they don't know how to engage these people. So I work with groups for that and on an individual level, and I work with entrepreneurs as well.
So 2 questions for you. Do you have a coach for yourself? And the second question, that if you had not worked in the corporate area and whatever content writing and journalism, whatever you did before you became a coach, would you have been able to give the same kind of service? I mean, I know you said you're an empathetic person, but would you have been able to understand people the same way if you had not gone through this whole journey of the corporate life?
I believe I would. Maybe I wouldn't have gone into executive coaching. Maybe I would have chosen another. And there are so many different streams of coaching, which is why when people ask me if I'm a life coach, I say no, because that's not what I am. I do work with executives. So yeah, it could have led possibly to a different thing. But again, like I said, your purpose is your purpose, and you're going to come at it from any different direction, but you're going to land up there. And the thing about finding your purpose is that it makes it easy to make choices. Once you decide what you are in this world for and what you need to achieve, which leads me to legacy. And I have people who say, I'm only in my 30s. Isn't it too early to be thinking about legacy? And I'm so tempted to say, and where do you have that written thing that you have like another 40 years? So legacy is something you build along the way, right from the time you're young. I wish we could teach young children in school about it. What would you want people to remember you as? What would you want to live on after you? That will make all your decision making so easy. Does this feed into that? Yes, no, it's as simple as that.
So I think one of your skills is also hypnotherapy. Is that right?
Yes,
and
it
now,
is.
very honestly, it scares me. Do you do it on?
Yeah, oh my God, the thing is I have moved from solid corporate communication, which everyone can relate to what is for a lot of people in the woo-woo zone, So I remember.
Let me just tell you, this hypnotherapy always reminds me of that funny movie in Malayalam, Kochan Hanifa and Kalpana. For those
Everyone
who are,
has
they
this,
will.
And if you grew up reading Mandrake comics,
Yes,
I look into my eyes, and when I did my hypnotherapy, I remember my friends would be like, "Don't look at me. You're looking at me for too long. Don't look." I'm like, "Oh, for God's sake, hypnotherapy is an actual form of treatment. It is not stage hypnosis. Stage hypnosis is when the hypnotist, not hypnotherapist, the hypnotist brings you up on stage, makes you moo like a cow or quack like a duck or do something, that's entirely different. This is actually a form of therapy. We use it to break addictions and phobias and overcome negative beliefs and behaviors. Excuse me. So the main thing to know is hypnosis cannot happen without your consent. When I say the subconscious is so powerful, its only job is protecting you, right? So if something is being insidiously put in without your permission, it will be rejected. That's one. Two, I cannot program you to do anything that goes against your core values. I can't, because that's again behind a firewall. So if you're scared that I will hypnotize you and then make you go and steal some money or I can't. And three, you are not unconscious. You are not unconscious during the hypnotherapy process. You are in fact very conscious. You might go into a trance state. And in fact, trance states, it sounds again like something you do in an ashram or, voodoo or whatever. But, when you're driving the same route you drive every day, you get in the car, next thing you know, you've reached your destination.
True.
You were in a trance. It's when the conscious brain shuts off. That's all it is. So we go into trance many times during the day and we don't know it's called trance, so we're fine with it. But when we say it's a hypnotic trance, then you get nervous. So whatever is done under hypnosis has to be done with your permission and your cooperation, which is why when I have clients who come and say, I want to stop smoking, but they don't really want to, then we have to do coaching first to get them to the point where they know why they don't want to let it go. What is it? And then we go into the hypnotherapy. Okay, so I hope that calms your mind a bit.
Of course. Of course. So my series is actually called Marketing Magic and Industry Insights. And usually, so we've started with a lot of industry insights today. And you've, I think, revealed a whole world of what coaching should mean and for people to understand. And my audience is mixed entrepreneurs, or they could be the community people that I interact with, or they could be students who are looking for different insights from this session. And so let us just focus a little bit about the marketing magic part. And we said about the website. I saw you have a very nice website. Tell me, what do you use your website for?
So people feel more comfortable if they can go to a place where they can read about you, So Insta, Facebook, Twitter, it's where people go. It's where they get to know about you. But again, there is this belief that it's the glamorous side of you. And, to get the meat and bones about you, they've got to go to a website. So, and since I have so many offerings, I thought a website would be the sensible thing to do. And also people find my website and then come to me. So, if you use SEO right, then you are going to attract the right people. So I have made sure that my website does have proper SEO. I have to confess that I haven't done much on the analytics part of it, especially over the past year and a half because of a lot of personal turbulence. My mom went into end-term dementia last year, and then she passed away in August. And earlier when we were talking, we briefly mentioned about giving ourselves permission not to do everything.
Yes.
And that was my biggest takeaway from that whole experience, that, there was the tension of last year being a really crap year for entrepreneurs and for people in my field, where people were hanging on to their money. They want to know what they need to do. They want to know where to take their lives, but they don't want to pay for it. So it was business-wise a really bad year. And then personally, there was this. And the stress of it actually was making me physically sick. So then I had to take a call and coach myself and say, okay, listen, what are your options here? And what's your priority? I said, look, clearly I have a limited time with my mom. So I'm going to put work on hold. I'm just pressing pause there. And I'm just going to take this time. And then after she passed away, I needed time to just grieve and get over it. And I did not want the added pressure of trying to keep running my business. So I just, and that's what I tell people when they say, I'm going through a lot and I can't, and I find I'm not able to work on my business because I'm caught up in personal. I say, the differentiator, all that you need to make you feel okay with it is giving yourself permission. That's all. It's the same situation, but you're making it a choice. It's not, you're not a victim. Oh my God, I can't handle all this. You're saying, I'm choosing not to handle all this. So analytics.
No, that's fine. Website, as you know, websites they add credibility and they are always work in progress. But yours is progressed very well. So unless you had given me this background, I wouldn't have been able to
Thank you so much. I'm actually working on restructuring it now, just to
from the front end. From the front end, it's fine. Like, so I keep telling people this, that you're paying for the website. So at least do something with it rather than just keep spending money on it and not work on it at all.
Yes.
So that is one part of it. Then you yourself mentioned Facebook and Instagram, right? So how often do you post, and do you post this content yourself? What are you searching for when you post on?
Okay.
Facebook? I'm talking about Facebook and Insta. If you want to differentiate and tell me, that's fine. Or if you want to combine, that's also okay.
Okay. Facebook honestly is a zero lead platform for me. It's just there for visibility. And I always say, if I want to get a few compliments from some random guys, oh, looking pretty, go to Facebook.
Don't even go.
I keep telling my husband that the older I get, Facebook's very good for the ego. But and Insta also, it's like you get to engage with people who are peers or, might be interested, but it's not really a business lead platform for me. So I tend to do as I would like to be done. So I really hate when I don't like watching too many videos and I don't like being bombarded with content. So I chose not to do that. And
I was going to ask you, have you done live sessions or, have you done?
No, I haven't done lives, but I do speak on panels and I have done videos, but I haven't done live. That's one of the, I think in the group that we're on, you have asked come September, what'll I do?
Yes, I did.
think doing a live is on it because I have been shying away from that. But so I don't like to put out content that isn't my own. And when I say something, it's because I really want to say it. And I found that when people give me feedback on my social media, they always say you have very nice content. So I'm fine with that. I should become more regular again. I do know that. And that's what I'm working on now. The platform that does give me leads is LinkedIn. And so LinkedIn, I engage with in an entirely different way. I do post most of the same content because, again, like I said, it's only quality content when I post it. But I do engage with other people's posts. I do, and it's what I keep telling my students. I should be charging your parents for free coaching along with your degree. Because I used to give them some coaching in every class. And finally, they'd be like, ma'am, I'm going for a job interview. What do I do? So I should tell you, you're a brand. You are a brand, and you have to make sure that everything that you put out into the world feeds into your brand. Because at the end of the day, we are digital entities, XYZ knows you only because of what they see online. So LinkedIn, I like to support other people by liking their posts, by commenting, so that, this dreadful algorithm picks it up a bit. And I tend to accept almost all friend requests. Again, I know there are a lot of people who feel strongly about this, but in my thinking, a lot of them who are asked to be friends are people looking for jobs. And if I don't lose anything, right? If somebody connects to my network and gets that visibility, which might result in them getting a job, that's just good karma for me. So, so I tend to accept people who I know are going to harass me about redoing my website or marketing for me or getting.
I know you get them all the time.
Yeah, so I somehow have a sixth sense, and I decline those, but otherwise I accept.
Well, you're better at it, because I actually accept it, and then the minute the auto message comes in, I say, very sad that you linked with me only for this, with no etiquettes.
Me too with it. As soon as you accept it.
No, I make it a point to tell them I'm very sad. You made me sad today.
That's another thing I told my students. Do not ever just go to LinkedIn, connect with someone, and then say hi. Yeah. I told them it's the equivalent of a real life stalker. Somebody just saying hi and keeping quiet is very creepy. So please put together proper message, introduce yourself, why you want to connect with them, and then start your conversation. Do not do this.
So talking about LinkedIn strategies, do you have a Coach Bina page?
Yes,
on LinkedIn?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But the way LinkedIn is structured, it's the business pages aren't really built to be maximized. You can't invite people. You can't, share your link and tell people to follow you. So I find I use my personal one more. I do, put the same post up there, and sometimes I put it there and then share it through my personal one, because this is the one that's going to get the visibility.
Right. No, so we'll talk more about that, on how you could be working on the page, because there are success stories and people do make, and again, it's all about the content, and it's probably that you need to put it out there and here till people start realizing. But yes, well, but LinkedIn pages does well. There is good analytics that LinkedIn pages does very well.
Yes,
and so that is one. So we've spoken about Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn. Tell me about Twitter.
Twitter is absolutely so far. I think I got one good lead out of it in 4 years.
Do you tweet?
I do tweet
regularly.
And whatever I post across all channels in whichever format is best suited to each of those. Okay. I personally love Twitter the most out of all of them, because it's just good content there versus
and to
Facebook
the point.
It's to the point, and the people I've followed and the institutions that I follow, it's just really good. And I find that the support of the Twitterverse is so much better than in Facebook. There a lot. My daughters tell me that I am in some very perfect level of Twitter, because that's not what everyone else says.
Yeah, I know. I should ask you some more tips and tricks on what to do on Twitter.
Yeah, I just find that they're so supportive and very few trolls. So
that's great to hear. Very nice. And you blog? Do you blog?
No, I used to, and then I stopped. So I think it came with my getting super saturated of my job. So writing was a key part of it. And I think I just said I'll take a break from just writing for writing's sake, because I have written all my life. So I think at that point, I just decided I'm just going to stop for some time. So
anytime soon, are we expecting a book, or are you already a published author?
I have a little booklet that I published with my thoughts on. I used to drive like 100 kilometers a day when I worked in Media City. So on the way, I used to just, to keep my mind, keep from road rage or falling asleep, I used to just, everyone teases me about being able to see life lessons in everything. But, I just process everything that I'm going through, and it would come together in sort of a blog post in my head. So I used to just share it verbally with my friends and family, and then they just said, why don't you just put these down? And when we meet, I'll give you a copy of it.
Please, please.
So it's basically my thoughts on the road, but it's a sort of kaleidoscope, because every time you read it at a different point in your life, you read something else into those. So I have that, and I am working on a book. It's a work in progress, but definitely yes.
We'll look forward to that. What about a podcast, Bina?
I have a series called Power Bites. Actually, we finished 2 seasons, and I have been told I should convert that to podcast. So I'm in the process of doing that. So I will have 2 seasons of Power Bites, which is basically conversations with captains of industry. So I had the privilege of having my ex-CEO, Osman Sultan. I've had the Dean of the College of Fine Arts and Design in Sharjah University, Professor Nadia. I've had Rana Nawaz. I've had Sana Azam. I've had my friend Balkis, who started her own bakery, Emirati, who's just left the corporate world and started. So, I have a range of people who just share how they found what their passion is, and then what they did to just step out there and do it. So it's a really interesting series. I do hope you will see it, and I will let you know when the podcast is ready.
Please do. That would be really very nice. And do you have a YouTube channel which you?
Yes, I do. It's also surprisingly called Coach Bina.
Please do share all the links with me so that I can post it in the description and people can see how you are handling or how you change the content and what. So I told you before that I'm looking at entrepreneurs and students as my audience. So tell me that what is that thing which you would have done when you started as an entrepreneur and which you continue doing, and what is that one thing which you would change about the way you worked around with things?
Okay.
If there is anything which you would change.
The one thing that I did was be clear about why I'm doing this. And I find that is so important, because when you hit the bumps and when things get really difficult, because they will get difficult, knowing your why and remembering the reason that you started on this journey is the only thing that will get you to continue. When you lose sight of that, then whatever's immediately around you becomes stronger and you can give up. What I would not do is maybe take so long to start networking. Because, being in the corporate world, you tend to just be within your own sphere, right? You don't have opportunities also, honestly, to network, cross-platform networking, as it were. And so I would tell anyone who is already in a job and is planning to become an entrepreneur, start building those connections early while you're on your current job. Connect with people who you could then work with or who might support you or just be your brand ambassador when you take the leap. So never too early to start networking.
Right. So entrepreneurs usually have a big challenge of succession planning, right? So Coach Bina, are you training somebody? Do you have someone who you think will be very good successors to carry this legacy that you're creating?
Very honestly, I haven't. But I'm really blessed to have completely in-house talent, because my daughter is a film graduate. My husband teaches broadcast media at Sharjah University. The beautiful website that you saw was done, and my Power Bites is produced professionally by them, because that's what they do for a living. So, and I'm a content writer, so I was able to write my own content. So
keep it in the family.
Really blessed, yeah. And my younger one is a composer, and so if we need music on demand, she can compose it. So we're very lucky in that. My girls are, they keep saying we're unofficial coaches, because say whether we like it or not, we're getting coached. So I don't know, because both their paths are different. But I do plan to partner with more people, to build it up into a community of coaches sometime in the future. So perhaps that will lead to a better succession plan. Honestly, as of now, Shambhavi, I don't have one.
Okay, great. So something to think about.
Yep.
for
No, it has been thought about, but no solution that really makes sense to me at the moment.
So I think, like, usually they say that when you're ready for the spiritual transformation, the guru arrives. So I think in the same way, I have to say this, that probably when the people are ready, the coach arrives is what happens.
Absolutely. Like, there are no coincidences.
Yes. So tell me some mantra that you live by, or something which keeps you, going and pepped up, some kind of any quote, or your own quote, or any other quote which you follow your life by, any mantra that you.
The best is yet to be.
Thank you. Great. Fantastic.
So, alongside this too shall pass.
Yes. Very, very good philosophies to go by. And on this wonderful note, we'll finish the session. Bina, was there something you thought I would ask you and I didn't?
Speaking to a marketing guru, I was really scared you'd grill me a little more on the metrics of marketing. I'm so relieved you didn't. Yeah.
Tell me, what is the book that you're reading right now, or that a book that you would recommend to people to read at any point?
Screw Business as Usual, Richard Branson. Sadly, his personal choices and his behavior have let me down a lot in the recent past. But that book really was inspiring, because just based purely on what he's put down there, it is the concept of doing business with a conscience. And when you build your business, you're building someone else as well. So I will just ignore the man and all that he's doing and just look at the book.
I think there are many people like that, where you just read the book. But since you brought this up, and you are an English background, your master's in English, and my mother is one. And tell me something. How comfortable do you feel when you have these kind of words? Because now there are a lot of books which are being written with these words, which are unparliamentary, which would have been considered unparliamentary. And they are used as titles of books. Is it just something to grab attention, or is it okay to use such language in conversation and in writing? What is your thought on that?
See, I think the world has changed so much that, I mean, there are words that I didn't use till I was grown up and married and everything. I would say the F word till I was like, I think 23, and everyone used to be in splits about it. I could not bring myself to say it. But you things change. The people we are addressing change. Now for the younger people, even people our age now, it's a lot more common to just, these words are part of the vocabulary. At the end of the day, communication is all about the receiver of the communication, right? So whether I find it suitable or not, if it's going to resonate with them, then I do see some level of justification. That said, if it's just blatantly being used to be, like you said, clickbait, kind of thing, I think that's cheap, and it's going to backfire on them, because people will see that. And you're straight away discredited before they've even given your book a chance, right? So I think it's a matter of using your, just carefully assessing the situation and seeing what is the best approach.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Bina, for spending so much time with me. And I look forward to tracking your website and finding out more from you in our next session. And we'll stay connected offline. Thank you for your time here.
Thank you so much. And hearing someone like you say my website is really good, you made my day. Thanks again, Shambhavi.
Best wishes to you. Best wishes to you and to the family who's supporting Coach Bina. Thanks
Yes.
and bye for now.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.